Nido, where I want to begin, you came to the United States as a teenager with $50 in your pocket and limited understanding of the English language. Let's start with your childhood. I want to better understand your story as a child and what led you to the United States.
Well, my father died when I was 6 years of age. My mother brought us up. My mother had fourth grade education, but she had the wisdom of five PhDs put together, maybe some more. And my mother understood that education is important. She didn't have it formally, but she understood that her kids must have it. And so she sent me to America on a one way ticket, money that she borrowed actually to send me here. And I came here to go to college, and I came to college and liked it, and stayed here, and came out of graduate school and started my first business.
What was the first business?
My first business was a direct mail business where we sold leadership materials. I hired people to write the material, and we sold it through catalogs. This is way pre computer, pre Amazon, pre e-commerce, pre digital everything. And interestingly enough, out of that, I learned lots of lessons. Obviously, sometimes I was successful, sometimes I wasn't successful. In about 3 years, I had built a client list about 68,000 people in 32 countries. And out of that came my speaking business. People start buying the stuff, say, will you come speak to our company? One thing led to another, and I became one of America's busiest speakers. That led to, other ventures.
What in particular, if you think about those first few years in the United States, obviously immense opportunity, but what were some of the bigger challenges that you encountered?
Well, there are many challenges when you change an environment and people and food and culture. There are many challenges called adjustment, but adjustment is a habituation process. You can adjust if you have the right beliefs. Beliefs lead to behaviors. Behaviors lead to results. So we all need coaching in the middle. My mother would say to me, if you want to be a great person, you must first walk hand in hand and side by side with great people. She'd say, who you spend time with is who you become. What you choose is what you get. How you change is how you succeed. These are pertinent and powerful lessons for life and living. They've served me very, very well. I like to tell people, you take the five people you spend the most time with and add up their salaries and average it out. That's pretty much where you're going to be. I mean, I don't mean that literally. I mean that figuratively, that how much money you make depends on who you hang around with. The kind of life you live will depend on your circle of influence, the zone in which you choose to reside. How you choose and what you choose reminds you that, the circumstance in which you find yourself only define where you start, not where you finish. There's no such thing as unrealistic dreams, only unrealistic timelines. And then how you change, not if, not when, not where, not how, and not what, but how you change. In other words, do you have a growth mindset? Do you have good judgment? Do you have a sense of awareness? Do you have relevance that you bring to every place where you work, live, serve, or get involved in? Those are the issues that you have to adjust to and learn. But all of us have enormous capability to adjust and to learn. What we need is initiative and desire.
How did you go about building that circle around you and making sure you were connecting with the right people that were going to help you get where you wanted to go?
Yeah, and it's no, that's a cumulative process, right? And it changes. So the first person you meet might be someone who's just a little older than you and make a couple of bucks more than you, and you learn from them. But eventually, it feeds unto itself through osmosis. So you begin over here and you go all the way over here, and the difference is where you spend your time. So as I became, for example, a director on a board of directors of a corporate organization, a corporation, you meet other directors. They know other people. Through them, you make other friends. Because they're directors, they're at this level. So by definition, you begin to build this level too. And then, through life, you meet people. It's how you treat people. If in every environment your focus is to get, you're going to lose. But if in every environment your focus is to bring something of value, eventually people love being around you. They're willing to respond to you and be a part of who you are and what you do. And so I began in a very small way, but eventually I met more important people. And more importantly is that I retained them, right? This is the key. Can you retain your relationships in a way that people speak well about you, and then they introduce you to other people?
I always say similar to what you said there, Nido. You always want to be a net giver. You want more going out than you have going in terms of how you think about relationships. And if you look at relationships purely as transactional, you're going to be very, very disappointed. If you wake up and say, what is that person going to do for me? What is that organization going to do for me? What is that? That's a way to, I think, live in a lot of disappointment. I think what you're saying there is you've got to be intentional and authentic about, being, bring a passion, bring an energy, bring something to, every equation.
Yeah. So William Barclay, the Scottish theologian, said, always give without remembering, always receive without forgetting. And I think there is tremendous merit in that.
I think there is. You mentioned your mother, Nido, and all the wisdom that she had, and obviously a tremendous role model. Is that where you kind of think you got your tremendous work ethic? She modeled a lot of that.
Yeah, I think so, Andrew. I think so. I think that in life you can't just have crusades aimed at people. You can't just lecture people. You have to live, they watch, they learn. So it's called modeling. You model the behaviors that you want in your employees. You model the behaviors that you want in your children. And my mom was a very hardworking woman. She had 5 kids. She had to feed us and clothe us and take care of us. And I learned a lot from her. I think the most important characteristic of a human being, besides character and attitude and commitment, is initiative. Initiative. The person who gets up in the morning and is ready to take on the world. The person who is willing to learn more today than yesterday. The person who can master the art of risk management so that they're not afraid of risk. They're prepared for appropriate risk. You take risk out of life, you take opportunity out of life. Those are the elements that we have to learn in life. And with initiative, whether it's initiative to read books or attend seminars, listen to podcasts, hang around the right people, all that determines initiative. You can just be sitting down knowing nothing, or you constantly say, I want to learn something new today. I want to become a better person today. And all of a sudden, that initiative will create successes. Sometimes, like Thomas Edison had initiative, he lost 900 times before he got to a successful one. But that's okay too, because in every failure, you learn something you can apply to something else. And I do think that I learned initiative from my mom. And I didn't have a dad, Andrew. If I had a dad, maybe I'd have learned from him. But my dad died when I was 6, and he was sick before that. So my mom was the only person, I had access to. And even though she wasn't educated, I learned, as I said, some very, very valuable lessons from her. I did learn that, your attitude is not some hypothetical thing. It's about what comes out of your heart. So whining, for example, is the opposite of thanksgiving. So your attitude about life stems from your sense of gratitude. If you're grateful for oxygen, if you're grateful for your friends, if you're grateful for life itself, look at oxygen. You and I taking oxygen as we speak now. And when was the last time we stopped and said, wow, thank you, God, for oxygen? We take it for granted, but without it, I would die. And so I think having an attitude of gratitude could be the foundational power that ignites everything else within us. And I think the second, the flip side of that coin is service to humankind. The word philanthropy means friend of humanity, love of humanity. Stewardship means, discipleship, giving of yourself to make the world a better place. And so by gratitude, I just don't mean sitting around saying thank you all the time. I mean, doing something to make the world a better place. Otherwise, all you've got is success. That's never enough. You want to have a life filled with success, but framed with significance. Without significance, you get to an age and you go, what does it matter that I won all these awards, or you have money, or you have a nice car, or you have a yacht, or you have a nice house on the beach? It doesn't matter. What matters is the impact that you've created along the pathway of life. Will people remember you as a person who planted seeds of greatness in their mind, their heart, and their soul? That is the essence of humanity. And if success is, Andrew, if success is about just making money, think about the American dream. People think American dream is about big house, some money, fame. Well, what would you say to a third grade teacher who went to college for 4, 5, 6, 7 years? He or she knew they're going to be overworked and underpaid. You're going to say to that person, don't think you're very successful? Who has the right to say that? Therefore, success is defined by each of us in our own way. An entrepreneur might define it by having a lot of money. Hank Aaron defined it as beating the record of Babe Ruth. Thomas Edison defined it as, or Albert Einstein defined it as unraveling the secrets of the universe. But Mother Teresa defined it as feeding the hungry and clothing the poor in the back alleys of Calcutta. So success is defined by each of us. Ted Turner defined it by creating a media empire like CNN. And so success alone is not where it's at. Initiative must lead us to making the world a better place. That's what I hope we do with our students at Hyper University, is instill in them the desire to give of themselves in a meaningful and purposeful way, so that everybody who crosses their path finds goodness and value in that relationship.
Let's segue right there to High Point University. High Point University is a community that must be tremendously grateful, Nido, for the impact that you have had and your commitment to the community. I want to talk about the circumstances that led to your presidency at High Point. Obviously, you had been a part of the community. You had been a board member. How did you come to be the president of High Point in 2005?
I was going to be, first of all, I went to Hyper University undergrad, right? So I went to undergraduate school here. It's my alma mater. I live in the city of High Point, where Hyper University is located. And I was on the board of trustees of High Point University, and I was the incoming chairman of the board of trustees. And the president here was retiring. He was an ordained minister. The school was tiny. It had about 1,400 students, about $28 million in revenues, about 91 acres landlocked. And the board came to me and said, look, we're in trouble, and we need you to, instead of being chair, will you be president? To which, of course, I laughed out loud and said, are you kidding me? I've got half a dozen businesses I'm running. I'm traveling across the country and the world, speaking 140 times a year, consulting with CEOs everywhere, frankly, making a lot of money. Why would I give all that stuff up? And I had to think about it and pray about it. But you know what? In time, I felt led to come here. It's an amazing thing about life, that when you feel you have something to contribute, you're much more likely to get the urge to want to contribute. And when you understand that your contribution can make a difference, you will feel compelled sometimes to give of yourself. And so I said, well, okay, I'll come, do it for a couple of years, and then, go about my own business. And what happened is I fell in love. I came here. I found that, first of all, I'm pretty skilled at some things, like leadership, like imagineering, envisioning, like fundraising, like getting along with people, like financial skills. I said, man, I've been preparing all my life for this job. I know all this stuff. I've been helping companies to do all this stuff. So I came here, and my first day here, I said, we're going to raise $10 million in the next 60 days. Came back 29 days later, so we raised $20 million, double the amount in half the time. Since then, I've raised $650 million here. And I'm in my 18th year. So I found my calling. Here is what's so interesting. I was willing to serve. I never asked what the pay was going to be. But interestingly, Andrew, we have had phenomenal success. If you see this place, you understand It's unbelievable success. We went from 91 acres to 530 acres, from $28 million in revenue to 400 million, from 1,400 students in total to 6,000 students, from 3 academic schools to 11, including law and dentistry and pharmacy. Big stuff. And I've loved it. I've loved every part of it. I've lost a fortune doing it, but I've loved every part of it. The interesting part is corporations noticed, and they realized that leadership is leadership is leadership. Whether you're running a university, running a big corporation, running a nonprofit, what is leadership? What is running an organization? It's got 3 P's: product, process, person. The person is the same everywhere. The product may be different, the process may be different, but an intelligent person can learn it and apply it. And so they all wanted to learn from me. So I actually have more offers today to consult with CEOs, or more offers to be a CEO of a big company than I've ever had before in my life. And the irony is I don't have much interest in being a CEO of another company. But occasionally I do high-level consulting with entrepreneurs and CEOs. And I do it for a reason, by the way. And the reason is to stay sharp, keep my mind sharp. The reason I still accept some speaking engagement is to stay fluid, fluent, and flowing on the stage, is to not lose the skill of speaking with clarity, speaking with persuasion, and speaking with commitment. And so life is interesting. You know, when you least expect it, the heavens opens its gates and engulfs you and showers you with gifts you never imagined possible.
I think you bring up so many important points there, Nido. I mean, I think the power of getting involved in different things and wearing a lot of different hats, and how it keeps, like you said, it keeps you current, it keeps you fluid, it keeps you challenged. And it all kind of begets each other and works together in these really unique ways to make the total package of your professional and personal life really special. I mean, one of the things I'd love to dig into on High Point is anywhere you read, anybody you talk to about High Point, they talk about how everything kind of works together in such a cohesive way. Yeah. Everything is intentional. Quotations on benches, signage, everything is incredibly thoughtful. What kind of is the mindset there, and how did you bring all of that to life?
Yeah, that is a really, really good question, and you've stated it very, very well. I believe in intentional congruence. So if something is worth doing, you have to understand the magic is in the mix. You have to think of whatever it is you do as a jigsaw puzzle. It has many pieces. You can do some pieces and have success and enjoy it. But if you have all the pieces to the right puzzle and they come together congruently, you have a complete puzzle. Life is like that. Life is about living in balance. What does that really mean? People talk about life, work, balance. What does that really, really mean? I mean, it sounds good. But what it really means is that you develop the 5 capitals, right? We all have financial capital. Financial capital. You know, you understand what financial capital, you're starting a business, you have to have financial capital. But we ignore the other 4. One of them is physical capital. Physical capital is about taking care of your body. Enough sleep, right foods, exercise, so on. Energy. Everybody wants to talk about time management. There's no such thing as time management. Forget about it. The 24 hours in the day, everybody has it. What you want is energy management, knowing where you're going to prioritize your energy, knowing your hours in the day. I'm more energetic in the morning than I am in the afternoon. So I'm going to do more important things in the morning because I can get, that's called energy. You're like a battery. Once that battery runs out, you run out. So one has to make sure we protect that. So number 1 is physical. Second capital is educational. There's no replacement for education. The word education comes from a Greek derivative, which means to change from within. That is not training. You train dogs and elephants. You train people in transactional stuff. When you train someone, you show them the how. But education is different. Education is about transformation. It's about achieving your fullest potential. So education is really about not teaching the how, important as that might be, but teaching the why. Because once you know the why, you can figure out the how if you have any degree of intelligence or capacity. Training teaches you what to do, but education teaches you how to be, be. Too many people worried about their to-do list. We ought to be worrying about our to-be list, to-be list. What kind of a person am I becoming? Not just all the stuff I've got to do. I showed you my desk. My desk is, pretty clear. I have all my work sitting right here. I don't have these piles of papers and all that. I don't understand that. I mean, I can organize my life, and I do lots of things. I serve on 5 corporate boards. I run a large university. I have 2,000 employees here. I serve in many other capacities. I own pieces of businesses and so on. So you're not going to convince me that it can't be done. But one has to have the education for it. You have to know how to do it. That is why it is important to always learn from experts. My argument with my clients over the years is that I'm an expert in certain areas. I can help you in those areas. But I can't fix your car. I can't fix your teeth. You have to go to an expert for those. The reason you have to learn from an expert is because the expert has his or her information in order. In other words, A comes before B, B comes before C, C comes before D. If not, you can talk to someone who can give you all the jumbo mumbo. But if they don't have it in order, it'll actually cause you more harm than good. So that's what I mean by education. It's a very wide umbrella. The third capital we all have to have is called reputational capital, right? What good is it if you are the smartest guy on the face of this earth, but you have a bad reputation? So reputation is what other people think about you. Character is what God knows about you. You need both to live life in a wholesome manner. The fourth one is relational capital. Fourth one, fifth one, relational capital. So it's physical, it is educational, it is reputational, it's relational capital. Relational capital is all about who you know, who knows you, and how you're positioned in that world. And I find the more good I do for others, the more goodness comes my way. The more you give, the more you get, as long as you don't give, so you will get, right? And then the last one is spiritual capital. You have to have some degree of spirituality. If you think you are the master of the universe, in my opinion, you're just ignorant. But if you understand there's a God who created you and breathed in your nostrils and gave you life, and a God's grace that bestows upon you the capacity to be intelligent, to think through things, to dissect and so on. I'm a believer, right? I believe that God Almighty blesses me. And so that's called spiritual capital. And we need them all if you're going to have a balanced life. And so these are this is how you develop the holistic approach. You asked me about congruence. Now, when you talk about specific things on this campus, it's not that I woke up in the morning and said, I think we'll do that here, I think we'll do that here, I think we'll do that here. Not at all. It's the opposite. It's we want our students and the people who work here to be extraordinary. So what does that really mean? And where does it come from? Well, extraordinary comes as a choice. You must choose to be extraordinary. Nobody can say, be extraordinary. It's a choice. I can lecture you till I'm blue in the face, but until you choose to do it, it won't work. I'll give you an example. I'm about 10, 12 pounds overweight. I just talked, just before this podcast, I was talking to a strength coach. I wanted to work, build a little more muscle in my upper body, lose a little weight, even though I have all the energy in the world now. God help the people who work with me if I get any more energy. But, I want to make sure that I want to be extraordinary in that way. So I want our students to be extraordinary. Now, how do I do that? I have to create an environment in which they choose to be so. How do I do that? Well, I make sure that I've got real quotes in the grounds. Wherever they go, they see stuff that inspires their heart. I make sure that, I have banners everywhere, colorful. So what does is creates energy in the atmosphere, big fountains and so on. But more importantly, I have to make sure I have great faculty who are teaching great things in the classroom, so that if you get the academic piece that's outstanding and you frame it, you surround it with all of these elements that feed your heart, feed your soul, feed your energy, and so on, feed your purpose, then all of a sudden you have that intentional congruence. So as I said, I didn't decide, I think I'll do this and I'll do this and do this. I said to our team, let's define what outcome we want. And then let's define the behaviors it takes to get us there. And then let's define the beliefs we must hold dear so that we will behave in that way. So if I believe that I'm going to live another 25 years, and I believe that living life with energy is better than no energy. So then what must I do? I must take care of my health, hang around the right people, deny negativity in my soul, so on and so forth. Now, what do I do to become that person? People coaching me, hang around the right people, read the right books, listen to the right podcasts, etc., etc. So that's how we did it. Now, when someone comes and observes it, they think we just sat down and drew a board and said, we'll do this stuff. Not at all. That's the way an architect does something. We, on the other hand, said, how do we engineer a human being who's extraordinary? How do you do that? Especially if they're 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. How do we impress upon them the need to become extraordinary people? And then what are the elements that can feed into that in a repetitive, redundant way so that it comes at you from all angles? That's how we did it. We have an incredibly successful experiment here. And while it protects and respects the protocol of the academy, we are accredited at every level, the highest level. On the other hand, we took some license. So think of it this way, Andrew. The academic program is the Mona Lisa. You don't mess with the Mona Lisa. If you go to the Louvre in Paris, the Mona Lisa is the Mona Lisa. But you will notice that someone took some liberty with it in this way. Someone decided what kind of frame it's going to have. Gold, silver, black, white, green, yellow. Someone decided where strategically they will place it. Someone decided how they will light it. Therefore, people queue, to see this Mona Lisa. That's what we did. We protected the academy, which is the Mona Lisa, and yet we took some liberties about how we do the supplementary elements, collateral services to make it so. And we did it all in a very intentionally congruent manner. So when you go in, we have 18 restaurants on campus. When you go into our main cafeteria, I put a band there every day from 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock. And I didn't put a band because I know a band or because we have extra money to spend or because the music just be interesting. No, I put a band there because I noticed I wanted our students to stay there and build fellowship, build friendships, build relationships. And I noticed that people were coming in, picking up the food, 8-10 minutes, boom, they're gone. I didn't want that. I want you to sit there, make friendships, work on your computer, be in the environment. How do you do that? So, one of the elements is you make the environment interesting. You put music there. You make it beautiful. You make it colorful, right? You don't put the dessert with the entree. You make them get up and go somewhere else and get this and get that, get the ice cream, so on. What you're really after is not the food. You're after building that environment in which people choose to stay, bring their friends, and learn to communicate and connect. I think you understood my point.
Absolutely. I understand exactly what you're talking about there. And as you were talking, I was thinking about myself a bit. I was a good student in high school and previously in grade school, but it wasn't until I got to college that I felt like I really developed a passion for learning. And what that created for me to this point has been a lifelong interest. Or since then, what I believe I'll have is a lifelong interest in learning. I tell people all the time, middle school, high school, even the first year or so of college, I never went to the library and took out a book. I never went up on. I didn't often go to bookstores and find. I read what I needed to read because it was what was assigned to me. I read what was in the syllabus, and then it kind of all started to click for me in college. I loved to learn. I loved to kind of engage in different topics and. That's been something that's been with me. And I think it's been one of the keys to my, any success that I've had in my career, that thirst for learning. I'll go and I'll read a book on a science topic. I'll read something on a sports personality. I'll go read a personal improvement book about leadership. I'll read about, how they created the COVID vaccines. I just love learning about different stuff, listening to different podcasts, having conversations with people like yourself and Olympians and pro athletes and musicians and authors. Do you think that, part of what you're doing is creating that passion and enthusiasm in your students to associate this experience with learning, and then learning is something they take with them forever?
Yes, yes, all that is true, but I'm really focused on transformation. I'm focused on students understanding that we're all operating under 10% of our potential. So how do I get you to operate 11%? And how do I show you that there are rewards in that behavior? And how do I show you that if you operate 15%, you're really going to beat most people at their own game? Andrew, if you ask me the definition of leadership, I would say leadership is about creating capacity in others. That's what leadership is. So all these people, talk about the characteristics of leadership: communicate, problem solve. That's all true. But ultimately, the most effective leader is the one who creates capacity in others. So what you're really doing is you're coaching, you're mentoring, you're guiding, you're discovering, you're directing. And I find I do this every day in every meeting. If I told you move this from here to here, I will never just say that. I will explain to you why here is better than here. And I'll go vertical and show you how that leads to better performance for the institution. And so what happens is people inadvertently begin to learn, directly, indirectly, consciously, subconsciously. And they wake up one day and they go, being with this guy, I'm just learning, I'm growing. What they're really saying to you is, I'm creating more capacity, and I like myself more when I create more capacity. I feel more intelligent. I feel more capable. I feel that I can do more worthwhile things. And so in my top management team, I don't lose anybody, even though I'm a very demanding guy in terms of demanding in a very respectful way. But I want your best. I'm not going to settle for less than your best. And I'd rather set the standard up here, and have you reach it here, than set the standard here and have you reach it here, or even reach it here. So I don't lose those people. I don't have attrition in those areas. Attrition is the lower levels. Why? Because nobody's really picking them up and saying, hey, guy, you can do so much more. Let me help you get there. Let me help you become that person. So that's for me is what I believe is valuable in life and living. And we get that slowly and cumulatively. There is no magic pill. The magic is in the mix. It is one step at a time. You read a book one page at a time. You listen to a speaker one sentence at a time. You save your money $1 at a time. By the way, Andrew, why do you have a $2 bill behind you? Is that a $2 bill?
I'll tell you why. So this was a gift to me from my grandfather. He wrote "Good luck." My grandfather escaped Nazi Germany. He came to this country. He was separated on a train by the Nazis from his father. From that day forward, never saw his parents or his sister again. They were killed in concentration camps. He came to the United States. He created a business. He created a bridal. He didn't have much money in his pocket. Maybe he had about 50 like you did, not much more, and certainly maybe less. He didn't have any understanding of the English language. Came to America, built from the bottoms up a bridal headwear business, and built it into a successful bridal headwear business in New York City and New Jersey. And he passed away in 2000. But before he did, he would hand out these. This was something he always handed out to folks. These $2 bills, and he would write "Good luck," and he would sign it Ernie. And this one says Grandpa Ernie. But that was something that he did regularly. It's something I always take with me. I also have back here, these are some clippers that he used with the bridal headpieces. My grandmother gave me this. She had found it, and it sits here with me every day. I also have a picture of you can't see it here, but I have a picture of my grandmother's home in Germany that she left when Hitler rose to power. And every time I walk in and out of this office, I see that house, and it reminds me of where I come from and why we don't take things in life for granted. So I'm glad you asked, Nido. I'm
But
glad
think
you.
of it this way: your grandfather would be very proud of you. But he should have given you $100 bill, Andrew. Come on, he should have given you $100 bill.
He gave me quite a few $100 bills over the years for the birthday, and he gave me so much more. I guarantee.
No question.
I guarantee you. But this is a good memento, and I'm sure you can kind of connect with that story, his story a little bit.
Absolutely.
His story a little bit.
Well, what your grandfather had was initiative. That's what he had. You know, initiative sometimes comes from the desire for survival. When you are threatened, when your life is threatened, when you have a big problem, you have no choice but to rise above it. And you find, I'll give you an example. You're talking about Holocaust. One of my very dear friends is a guy called Daniel Lubetzky. The name may not mean anything to you until I tell you, Daniel Lubetzky is the guy who started the Kind Snacks company, you know, all the kind stuff. And in fact, he's going to be our commencement speaker here next month or 2 or 3 weeks. Daniel is a multi-billion-dollar company, and I asked him, "Why did you call it Kind?" Incidentally, his grandfather, his father was a Holocaust survivor. He was born in Mexico. Daniel was, and he said, "I wanted people to be kind to each other. Why are we so uncivil? Why can't we celebrate our differences and appreciate our similarities?" And so he called it Kind. And today he has an organization called, he still owns Kind Bars, by the way, Kind Snack Company, very big company. But he also has something called Starts With Us. I serve on the board of Starts With Us. And it's a large initiative to get people to, be kind, loving, accepting, and starts with me accepting you accepting me. And then we go from there, right? And it doesn't mean I have to give up my personal values or personal faith or personal belief or personal political persuasion or whatever it might be, because I get along with you or accept you. You can be you, I can be me, and we can still be wonderful friends. And that's Daniel's point. And to me, he learned that from a family that suffered and saw what is war? And war is the failure of communication among people. When nothing else works, we just kill each other, and it's an awful thing to do. When you think about it, it's so inhumane, and yet it happens all the time, and it's sad. So you're lucky to have had a grandfather who's taught you some of the principles, both in his life and with giving you mementos that you can reflect on.
I sure am. And Nido, I'm also so grateful for your time and this conversation. And I know you have shared lessons that everyone listening and myself will take with us forever. There is no question that you lead by example. You model the behaviors that we should all expect of ourselves and expect of others. Thank you for spending a few minutes with me, Nido.
Thank you, Andrew. Best wishes to you. Keep doing good things. Keep helping a lot of people.